Welcome to the Tarkashastra MBA channel. In this video, we'll be covering introduction to RCs, why are they important, certain things to avoid, types of RCs, and important tips when you're solving an RC. So kindly keep watching. Alright students, let's begin introduction to reading comprehensions. First of all, try to understand why our RC is important. It is one of the most universal questions and one of the most recurrent questions asked throughout all examinations. So why is it that important? First, assessment of your reading skills, your basic reading comprehension skills. Reading comprehension test assesses a student's ability to understand written information, interpret the content, and extract meaningful details. These skills are crucial for academic success and real-world applications. So it's not just important for the exam that you're preparing, but it's also important once you get into the college, your dream college, once you graduate from that dream college and apply for your dream job. Okay, this is the most important skill any individual should have. Next is critical thinking, another very important set of skills one needs to possess. Reading comprehension exercise requires students to think critically about the text, analyze information, make inferences, and draw conclusions. These cognitive processes enhances their analytical and problem-solving skills. Through understanding the text, deriving its conclusion, its assumption, its inferences, you can understand the pulse of the text. You can understand what is wrong and what is right with the text. This will exercise your critical thinking, where you might have to read between the lines, try to understand the mood, the intent of the author who has written the given text. So all of this will brush up your basic critical thinking skills, which is again not just relevant to the exam that you're preparing for, but also has real world applications. Now, the section is called the verbal section or English language section, verbal ability. The aim of verbal ability section is to check your language skills, your English language skills. India's official language still is English. So majority of the official matters are conducted in the English language. Hence, you should have a good hold on that language, and that's exactly what the paper aims to test. Reading exposes students to a wide range of vocabulary and sentence structures. Engaging with complex texts help expand their vocabulary and improve their overall language proficiency. Okay, hence RCs are also important to improve your vocab and language skills. Next is subject mastery. Majority of your exams are on specific subjects, hence the RCs are rich and diverse, and most of them might have a specific subject, the one that you might be preparing for. In subject-specific exam, reading comprehension passages might be related to the subject matter. This ensures that students not only understand the concept but can also apply them in the given context. Last, very significant again, is your cognitive development. Engaging with complex text challenges students' cognitive abilities such as memory, attention, and reasoning. This engagement contributes to their overall cognitive growth. Hence, RC is the most universal question asked. Okay, some papers might not ask grammar, some papers might ask grammar, some might not ask vocab, some might ask vocab, but all of them will have RCs in common. And this is exactly why one set of question can test multiple skills. Okay, we've all done RCs before in school. This is just amplified level, something that's a bit more advanced. That is it. Now let's try to understand what are the common challenges faced during solving an RC and how one must overcome them. The first problem and the most common problem is reading speed. Yes, we can understand the given text. Yes, we can solve it, but we can't solve it with a given time frame. How to overcome that? Basic, start reading. Okay, reading solves the problem of reading speed. Because you are not the most avid readers, because you've not read for a long time, one sentence or couple of sentences might take you forever to read and comprehend because your brain is not used to it. You've not done this in the past, hence it's the most alien and most unfamiliar set of skill for you. So what must you do? You must familiarize yourself with that set of skill by only reading and reading a lot. Read whatever you prefer, whatever genre, fiction, non-fiction, whatever. Just train your brain to read and comprehend a text. Start there. Okay? Aeon is one of the most wonderful and reliable site for good essays with diverse topics, good length, and a good language also. So if you are looking for a source with challenging reading, this is where you could find it. AEON, Aeon. Ideal reading speed should be around 300 to 350 words per minute. So make sure that is where your reading speed lies. To solve the paper, you can also do with around 250 words per minute. That is also fine. So before proceeding, I recommend you taking a small reading speed test to check where is your reading speed right now. Okay, again, how to overcome the problem of reading speed when it comes to competitive exams. First is make sure to diversify your reads. The RC that might come in the exam could be on any topic. Okay, could be on any topic, maybe a topic that you love, maybe a topic that you hate, maybe the one you know, maybe the one you don't know about. So to tackle that problem, you must diversify your reads. Get comfortable with all topics. Speed is dependent on the familiarity of the topic. So if a topic is familiar to you, if you're aware where this is coming from, your speed goes right up. If not, you will have to think harder, take more time to process the given data. Hence, it will be, a bit more time consuming. So, reading speed, now what should be your aim? You're wonderful at reading fast, but when you're solving your questions, you're getting them wrong. So, there is no point if that is how you're solving the issue. Similarly, you're getting your questions right, but the speed, not so much. Okay, you're spending 10 minutes, 15 minutes in one RC. Again, you're losing marks in other potential questions that you could have solved in the given time frame. So the ideal scenario should be, it is important to read fast, but not at the cost of accuracy. So you need to balance the two. Okay, you should read fast and also make sure the accuracy also goes up, because your exam may or may not have a negative marking system, and you do not want to lose marks in negative marking. Okay, another thing, one must be fast but also be able to comprehend. Therefore, this is the ideal speed, but you can do around 200 to 250 words per minute. That is also fine. And a good idea of vocabulary, rich vocabulary, will also help you to read faster. You will not stop and wait to understand what this word means or what context is this used in. Because you're familiar with the meaning, you will only proceed further and will have a better idea and a better comprehension of the text. So work on this as well to improve your speed. Okay, next, speed is done left comprehension. Reading comprehension is made up of two things, reading and comprehension. We've just fixed how to improve our reading skills and reading speed. Next is comprehension. I've read the text, how much have I comprehended? That means how much have I understood? Understanding the passage comprehension is difficult, especially for unfamiliar topics. Hence, the diversification of your readings will again solve the same problem. Make sure to know specific strategies for every type of question. You will face different types of question. Main idea question, tone question, inference, conclusion, strengthening, weakening. Okay. इन सब का strategy अलग होता है, इनका approach अलग है, option elimination अलग है. ठीक है, तो Make sure you know all of these. In the future lectures, I am aiming to take all of these questions, so make sure to watch them as well. But do remember, the type of question you are solving, the strategy, the approach changes. So to cut back on time, make sure to apply specific strategies for those questions. Option elimination is the most alpha way to get closer to the correct answer, okay, to get to the most accurate answer. Out of A, B, C, and D, if you're going for D, make sure that you have eliminated A, B, and C with the most accurate logic. And you're not choosing D just because it looks right or it sounds right. Okay, that is called betting, and you should not be betting in an exam where there are negative marks costing you. Okay, this was all about comprehension and how to fix that problem. The next is vocabulary problem. Okay, there's a lot of vocabulary question asked in RCs. Find the meaning of the word, find the synonym, find the antonym of the given word. Okay, so reading is one thing that will obviously help you learn some new words, some challenging words that you might have never heard before. So make sure you make a journal and write all of these words that you're listening, that you're actually encountering for the first time. Next, challenge yourself with advanced text again, which will open you up to good, better words that you might have never heard of. Always journal them. Make sure by the end of the week you have at least 20 words in the journal. So in a year or on a span of 6 months, you will have a good set of words, new words that you would have learned that will obviously help you in solving your vocab questions, your RCs, and other set of questions when it comes to verbal ability. Your Bible is Word Power Made Easy. This is your very Bible. Why? Because to learn words, you can't be really mugging up 10,000 words or even 1,000 words. That's very out of reach. But what you can do is learn root words, because most of the English words are made up of these tiny root words. Okay, they keep reoccurring in different shape and form. So it's better to learn these root words, which is exactly what is taught in Word Power Made Easy. By the end of it, you will have so many good words in your vocabulary, and you will also have a good trick, a good logic to eliminate or select the word that could mean, that is the closest to the given one, if you know the root words. Okay, so instead of targeting 10,000 words, just target to solve this at least twice. It is not only helpful for admission, for passing your exam, but it is also helpful for your PIs, your GD, even getting into the college. Having a rich vocabulary, a good communication skills will again help you navigate the college better. Avoid. Now, what are the things that you're supposed to not do? Okay, these are the things you're supposed to avoid when you're solving an RC. Please do not move your mouth whenever you're reading an RC. Seems like a very trivial problem, but it costs you time. Why? Because you're so focused on pronouncing things, on other irrelevant things, that it is costing you time and it's impacting your speed. So whenever you're reading, make sure you're not moving your lips and only reading in your head. Okay, use a cursor, use a tracker to read. Okay, and make sure you're only going forward. Why only going forward? Because regression, which is going back, also costs you time. You might be getting stuck on a word or on a line which actually not might even be relevant to the question asked. So you might be overthinking, getting scared because there's a one fancy word used. It's a flowery language RC. So you're constantly rereading the lines, but that is going to make no sense and it's going to waste your time. So rereading is not required. If you do not understand a line or a word, don't reread, because that will not help you understand it. Move on and you will eventually understand it through context. 100% comprehension of a passage is not required. 60, 70 or 70 to 80% of the text and understanding is enough. If you're aiming to solve only 2 questions or 3 questions from the said RC, then why waste so much time? If you know an RC is a very good level where you might lose a couple of marks and you might only get 2 or 3 correct out of them, so why waste so much time? Out of 60 to 70% comprehension, you can cater to those 2 or 3 questions. So avoid regression, avoid going back, avoid overthinking, avoid getting scared with flowery language. That is exactly my next point. Avoid getting stuck on a word because that word could be completely ornamental. Maybe it's given to scare you, okay, or distract you. So only move forward until and unless that word is asked, move forward. Do not read for leisure, okay? Please read the text objectively. Read it as if you're the author, not as yourself, not as a reader, not as if you're reading a magazine. It might be a favorite topic of yours. Maybe it's from a favorite sport, a favorite movie, a favorite book. Don't get excited and start reading it for leisure. Make sure you stay objective and critical, because you might not even realize, you might start making prejudices, you might start giving into your cognitive biases, okay? You might start filling in certain details that you already know but was never discussed in the passage. So always remember, even if it is on a topic that you know very, very well, you only stick to the scope of the given data, okay? So for that, reading as the author helps a lot. Now, this is a basic intro to RC's session. So you should know what are different types of RCs and how they look like, because again, with types of RCs, the strategy changes. The first one is a narrative RC or a story-based RC. Okay, it's therefore going to be in a storytelling format. It's going to be chronological, obviously. It will either build towards one main idea, or it just could be just a chain of events which have no common idea or theme. Okay, here either you have to identify the opinion, or if there's a central idea, recognize that. Okay, this is how a narrative RC would look like. Okay, I want you to pause and read the given RC. Okay, if you've read the RC, you know how it looks like. It reads like a story where it's going from the oldest event to the latest event in a chronological fashion. Such RCs are usually easy to read, but could pose a couple of challenging questions, especially inference-based questions. So be careful and be wary of those. Next type is called descriptive passages. Okay, here, as the name suggests, a description of a concept, person, or event might be given. Therefore, this is going to be full of details, full of jargon, specific words, technical words. If it is describing an iPhone, there's going to be specific technical terms used. The tone will usually be neutral and objective. Why? Because it's a plain description. So there's no opinion, there's no mood present in a passage like this. Author provides objective data without giving forth his or her opinion. Author attempts to explain a topic to other people. For example, I want you to again pause the video to read to understand what a descriptive passage looks like. Okay, now that you've read, I want you to comment what do you think was the main idea of the given RC. The entire RC is the iPhone passage was so and so, okay. It's talking about how the iPhone looks like and etc. So what do you think was the main idea of the entire RC about? Why? Because this will also help you in discerning what is the next type of RC, analytical RC. Now, this is very different from a descriptive RC. Analytical, as name suggests, is going to be an analysis. It's going to be more than just a plain description. It will be analyzing a particular subject. from multiple perspectives. Goal is going to be to reach a conclusion. Now, what are those multiple perspectives? Pros and cons. They are both weighed. Therefore, it is called an analysis. Everything is connected and one idea will lead to the other. Author will aim to explain the topic to himself. In descriptive, he's explaining it to you guys, but in analytical, he's explaining it to himself by weighing the pros and cons. For example, this is again a similar topic, but analytical RC, I want you to pause, read, get the main idea and put it in the comment and try to understand the difference in the main ideas of the two RCs. Okay. Last is an argumentative type of passage. Now, here, as the name suggests, it's going to be full of arguments. What do you mean by arguments? Here, maybe the author is for something or against something. It's completely his personal subjective opinion. Okay, here he might give other people's arguments. He might quote research, journal, or what somebody else said on the same matter, but all of that data will lead to his main point. What is he trying to put across? Focus on all arguments, counter arguments, example, etc., because they will all eventually lead to his main argument. Every argument will inevitably be connected to the other, and author will aim to convince the readers that his solution or his perspective is correct or most suitable. He's just trying to prove his point of view, right? And you can only prove that with good enough evidence. So all of this will be enough evidence to put forth and prove his perspective, his point of view. For example, this RC. Again, I want you to read, pause, and put it in the comments. What do you think is the main idea? What is the main idea? The overall gist of this RC, so you can understand how an argumentative passage will look like. Okay, that's it. These were all types of passages. As you saw with different types of passages, the methodology changes because the idea of the passage change, the structure of the passage changes. Now, certain tips before we end our session, certain tips to keep in mind whenever you're solving an RC. There is no place for your perspective, your GK, your subjective opinion. Okay, this is not a subjective exam. This is an objective exam where the answer for question can only be one of these options. So make sure that you align yourself with their mentality. So whenever you're solving an RC, make sure the answer key becomes your Bible. So try thinking like those answer key. Try thinking the way these answers were designed and try to mirror the same sort of thinking. Okay, so there is no conflict of interest. I think it's B. I don't know why they've gone for C. You should also go for C because you should mirror their critical thinking skills. Okay, to better solve an RC, to be very safe when you're solving an RC, always solve it as the author. You know exactly what author knows, nothing extra. You feel exactly what the author feels, nothing extra. That will help you solve the questions more accurately. Do not give in to your cognitive biases. This option feels right, this does not feel right, or this does not sound right. Please don't do that. Okay, this is completely again betting. Tukka lagaya ja raha hai idhar. You need to be very logical whenever you're solving and selecting an answer, because again, negative marks might actually cost you your total percentile and your future. So please do not bet on your future. Be very sure, be very logical when you are selecting an answer. Detect your comprehension failures and inconsistencies to avoid them in your next passages. Obviously, everybody has a different way of thinking and selecting an answer. So make sure that you know where you are going wrong. What are certain cognitive biases you are giving in? Maybe you're not looking a word properly, so you're overlooking certain set of words. Maybe you're having problems in identifying tone of the author, the style, the type of passage. Maybe you're overthinking, maybe you're underthinking. Okay, maybe you are rushing, maybe you are taking too much time. So all of these are different problems that you might face, and they're completely subjective. Make sure to recognize your problems, your cognitive biases, and make sure to avoid them in the next set of questions you do. Be aware of your competency and work accordingly. This should be a mantra for the entire exam. Okay, so do not function as per ego. Okay, this is, my father's very good at math, I am good at math, so I must get good marks in math. Please don't do that. If there is a question you might feel like you don't know, please be okay to let go, to skip. Okay, get comfortable with skipping. Okay, let go, because again, negative marks. Okay, so you can always come back to the question, but learn to let go. Always function as per your competency. Therefore, know thyself. Know yourself. Do your strengths first. Leave your weaknesses for later. Okay, weaknesses might cost you, so you can come to them later or skip them altogether, but don't let them take you down. This is a strategy based exam. Maybe somebody who's not as good as you in a particular subject might still score better because they solved the entire paper strategically, given the right time, the right strategies, okay, the right skipping and attempting questions. So all of that is important. Make sure whenever you're doing mocks and practicing questions, make sure to learn to let go as well. Awareness of your weaknesses may assist you in skipping and avoiding consequences. It's the same point. And do not get overwhelmed by jargons or incomprehensible words. Usually they are ornamental and may easily distract you. Not all words are significant to the passage. Obviously, not one single word can't lead to the entire main idea until and unless it's recurrent, or it's a keyword, or it's a theme word. So if one word is not repeated over and over, you can easily move on. One tiny word, you can eventually come to the meaning of it by reading the 2 lines, preceding 2 lines and the succeeding 2 lines, but don't get scared or overwhelmed by it, or try to come to the meaning of it, or just until and unless the question is based on that word, you can just skip it altogether. Okay, so do not get scared of it. That is it. This was basic intro to RCs session. Okay, we've only discussed the importance of RCs, the types of RCs, common problems faced during RCs, and certain tips to approach an RCs. In the future sessions, we will dive deeper into types of questions and strategies, and again, different varied topics of RCs, due to which you will get familiar with how the language looks like and how should you navigate a science-based, a technology-based, an arts-based, a philosophy-based passage. So by the end of these sessions, you will be very comfortable with RCs and all its types and topics. So make sure to subscribe and keep an eye out for all my future sessions as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and all the usual stuff. Thank you so much.